Once or twice a year, Pokemon seems to go through a very weird fad. For unexplainable reasons, it seems like just all of a sudden they become very popular just out of nowhere, or certain cards in the market just start skyrocketing for just no reason whatsoever. And it seems like Pokemon illustration rares might actually be the answer from saving Pokemon from itself. But is it really going to save it from itself? Is it really here long term? Are these prices going to stay high? Or are they going to dip eventually? What does the market say about all of this? We're going to answer all those questions in today's buy, sell, or hold. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to TCG Madness. And today we are doing another buy, sell, or hold. And today we're taking a look at Pokemon. And there's this very weird thing going on with Pokemon. The illustration rares seem to have gone up, not significantly, but they've gone up enough to really just kind of catch a lot of people's attention. And personally, I don't know what's going on or why this is happening. It just seems like this rarity type seems to just kind of jumped up by about 20 to 30% in the current market. I have my reasons. I'll let you guys know. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit deeper dive on this when we head over to TCG Player, and I'll go ahead and show you guys the prices just like we do on a normal buy, sell, or hold video. Before we do all that, if you guys can do me the really big favor, please hit that like button. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell so you guys never miss when I drop a video. I'll have a video for you guys tomorrow, taking a little bit of a break from Star Wars Unlimited content. There will be a video on Star Wars Unlimited tomorrow. I'll be playing with the Kylo Ren deck that I built on Monday. If you want to know what that video is all about, go check it out in the playlist, or you can check it in the link down below in the description box, and then come back tomorrow for another video on some Star Wars Unlimited gameplay. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about specifically Pokemon, specifically the illustration rares that seem to have jump up, not significantly, but pretty substantially enough to catch my attention. I have my theories on why that is, but I'm also really here to just kind of like look at the market, look at the prices, see if it's a significant jump enough to be like, yes, I think now is a great time to buy into Pokemon. Because last time I did a buy, sell, or hold on Pokemon, I was pretty much a seller all day long and twice on Sunday. Like, all day, every day, twice on Sunday, you should be selling on Pokemon. You should only be buying singles, in my opinion, when it comes to Pokemon. But there are some times where things happen like this that maybe now's a good time to actually buy some sealed product from Pokemon, or at the very least, definitely buy a lot of singles from Pokemon, or maybe certain sets from Pokemon. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to TCG Play here in just 1 second and really see what's kind of going on with the market. But before we also do that too, I really want to let you guys know I am not the best person to be talking to when it comes to Pokemon. There's definitely, I think Danny Phantom on YouTube, you guys can search him. I think he does a masterful job always breaking down when it comes to Pokemon. I get a lot of my information from him, and I usually digest it and kind of come up with my own theories as well. Also, too, if you're wondering about graded markets when it comes to these videos, I don't specifically talk about the graded market because I'm not knowledgeable enough yet on that. I'm still looking at, like the numbers on how like certain populations with PSA, CGC, Beckett, all them kind of stuff. When it comes to grading, there's you really go another layer deep when it comes to buy, selling, or holding. So if you guys are wondering, I know a couple people commented on the last time I did a buy, sell, or hold. I should be talking about grading in market. I'm not masterful. I'm not knowledgeable on that stuff yet. I am doing still my research, and as my opinions evolve, maybe eventually I'll put the grading market in these videos. But for now, we're not talking about grade. We're just looking at sealed and singles and whether or not now's a good time to buy, to sell, or to possibly hold. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump over to TCG Player. All right, we are now here at TCG Player, and the first set I do want to look at is just a base Scarlet and Violet set to see, because I really thought this was one of the worst sets to come out of Pokemon in the last couple of years. And this set, at one point, I was a sell on this set because the card prices, the sealed market, none of it makes sense. First of all, let's just go ahead and take a look at the booster box prices. $90 per booster box is still way too high, and actually when you look at it unopened is $97.99 plus $2 shipping and handling. $83 is still too high for this set. $84 for a sealed booster box of base set Scarlet and Violet is way too high. This set realistically should be less than $70 a booster box. I'm just calling it like I see it. And again, maybe the grading market has something to do with that and why booster boxes are still pretty high. Maybe there are still cards that you can get graded that still will bring in, triple digits. I have my doubts. Especially when you look at the top two card prices for this set. Gardevoir, lightly played. If you go to near mint, $32. Okay, sure, that's a decent price. You go to the second highest card in terms of value in this booster box, and it's $25. In other words, the two most expensive cards in this set are going to run you about $60. Why would you buy a booster box for $80, $90 when you can just simply buy the 2 cards that are the most expensive in this set, and that which arguably means they're the most searchable and the most cards that everybody wants their value for? Just go buy those cards, and that's where we kind of get the disconnect, in my opinion, with Pokemon. But this is just an older set, so we're not really here to look at this set. But I will just go ahead and take a look at a couple other cards like Miraidon and Koraidon EX. If you go look at both of them, again, near mint, $22. If you go look at Koraidon, which is also going to be another card that's going to be one that a lot of people would want, $16. So even still, 4 cards right there, you're probably going to come in at just under $100. Get the 4 cards you want. Don't spend the money on the booster box, because here's the thing too. These cards, I guarantee you, they probably come in like 1 in every case, I'd imagine. I'm sure the pull rates are not the greatest. So again, that's where the biggest disconnect, in my opinion, for me anyways, comes in with Pokemon. Look at another set, Paldean Evolved. So here we go, $130 for a booster box. If we click on it, that's the actual price. Very, very expensive. Again, I think Pokemon is just wildly expensive. Now, if you look at the top 2 cards, though, however, they do bring in more than what a booster box costs. However, though, are you going to pull both of these cards in a single booster box? Probably not. So again, $140 for TCG Player Direct for a Magikarp. And this is what I was kind of talking about. These illustration rares seem to have really taken off. If you go back 6 months, you can see where this card really was. $67, $68, and you just see this wild jump up. There has been this wild jump. Comment down below, maybe if you for anybody that collects and plays a lot of Pokemon, why are we seeing this giant jump? It seems like every once or twice a year we get this uncontrollable thing that happens with Pokemon, where just like all of a sudden people just recognize that it's there all of a sudden. Maybe they're getting fresh eyes on the product. Maybe there's something going on that I'm unaware of. Maybe just all of a sudden the population for graded, this where maybe graded comes into play, and I'm just not knowledgeable enough on the graded cards. Maybe there's a low population of these cards that are at PSA 9 or 10. Maybe a lot of them are coming back as PSAs 7s or 8. Or maybe a lot of people just aren't sending them graded. I mean, I remember at one point there was an over-fluctuation of graded cards on the market for Pokemon. Maybe all of a sudden it has scaled back, and maybe all of a sudden maybe there's low populations of like PSA 10s, and the ones that are PSA 10s are selling for a very high, if the $140 it comes back at PSA 10, maybe it's selling for $600-$700, maybe something like that's happening. I'm unaware of it, and I'm not going to dive in too deep into that, because again, I'm not knowledgeable enough in that category where I can give you guys a really good answer. At least I want to be somewhat knowledgeable to give you guys at least a good enough answer to my opinion that I can give you guys. I don't want to just come out here and spew, because this isn't an off-the-cuff video or a completely opinionated video. This is looking at the market and trying to give you guys the best answer of whether or not now's a good time to buy, sell, or hold, because this is, get out of here. This is your hard-earned dollars, and I want to make sure that you guys have that kind of information to make a good, sound judgment of whether or not now's a good time to spend the hard-earned dollars. $130 for a booster box, guys, is not cheap, so I want to make sure, hey, at the very end of the day, do whatever you want with your money. But if you're looking to basically ball on a budget, that's kind of where I come in. I like to be here for you for that. So you look at Iono. This card was very expensive at one point. This one seemed I would say, not a dramatic dip, but I do remember it being like up in the 80s and 90s era. Let's see if we even go back even further than that. I remember being pretty expensive. So you see right here, $99 to $100 and something dollars. That's what I remember being more than $80. And you guys can see, so pretty dramatic dip. We did see its lowest dip currently here, and where it's currently at right now. It did seem to go back up slightly, but not by much, so that's a good sign. It did dip below 70 at one point in the $69 area for near mint. You guys actually see too, by the way, right here. Near mint foil for most recent prices, 67, 67, 66, and now all of a sudden back up by $10. So that could also be too, because maybe the ones that sold. The weird thing about TCG Player, this might have been private sellers. The price you see right here is TCG Direct. If you don't know what TCG Player Direct is, that's where people actually sell directly to TCG Player and they upcharge them. They'll basically buy this card from somebody for about like $40-$50 and then they upsell it to $80. This might actually be just private sales, people who are selling on TCG who don't have access to, who are not selling directly to TCG Player, they're selling directly to you, the buyer. So that could be it as well. But yeah, cards going up in prices right there. Let's take a look at the Raichu. Raichu, $41. I don't remember him being that expensive. Yeah, so there you go. Illustration Rare is a good example right here. Illustration rare coming in at $17, $18 and now selling for upwards. And here's that jump we were talking about, right? That April, May jump. The last couple of months has really skyrocketed. Remember seeing on TikTok, scrolling through videos and just seeing like, what's going on with illustration rares? And seeing that Pokemon's jumping up, though. The only thing that is giving me a little bit of a pause, if you just look at booster boxes, when they first burst on the scene, they're about $100, which is pretty standard for Pokemon. And then you can see around February is around 106, and now prices are jumping up to $130. Is that jump significant enough to make you want to go buy a booster box? Like, are the illustration rares prices going up high enough to where it justifies spending more money on a sealed booster box of Pokemon cards? I'm not so sold on that one, honestly. And again, this could be the disconnect between me and not knowing enough about the graded market. So that's Paldean Evolved. You can see all the cards right here. I only like to look at the original Pokemons, anything from Gen 1, 2, 3 even. The newest generation, in my opinion, just isn't worth really mentioning about because they're really not that popular. But Gen 1 and 2, obviously, still very good, very fan favorites. If there's one bit of information I can give you in this video, is that Pokemon 151 is the set to constantly buy. If you want to spend money on Pokemon cards, Pokemon set 151, we will take a look at it here in a minute. Pokemon set 151 is the set to buy sealed and loose from. Plain and simple, all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Because it's the original Gen 1 Pokemon. They have a bunch of great illustration arts. Those cards, I promise you, in the next 20, 25 years, will A, hold their value from now until then, but also B, by the time it comes to that 20-year mark or something like that, you will see a giant, in my opinion, a giant jump up in value. Like, if you were someone who's in their 20s and 30s, and you said, what can I collect that's going to gain value over time and it's going to be a good investment, Pokemon set 151 would definitely be it. I would be buying a bunch of it right now. Actually, after this year is when I'm really going to bunker down and start buying a lot of those cards, and anything from like Gen 1 and Gen 2, even cards like this, because I think personally as years go on, when people look back at Pokemon, they're going to realize more and more that Gen 1 and Gen 2 were really the best generations and the best sets. So again, that's my opinion. So that's Paldean Evolved, right? And let's go to the set I was just talking about, Pokemon set 151. First off, you can see right here, prices just woof, man. If you can find this anywhere at your local Walmart, your Target, I can't recommend it enough, guys. Buy it. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on the sealed, you just want to get the cards. Because here's the thing too about sealed prog when it comes to 151. I do think this sealed prices will continue to go up, by the way. If they do dip and they dramatically dip, they will go right back up in the next 20, 25 years. These sets are, they're just going to hold their value. They're the original Gen 1 Pokemon. Remember the original base set when Logan Paul and Jake Paul opened up original base set Pokemon? I have a feeling that will have the same kind of effect here on 151 because it reprinted the original Gen 1 in the newer format, right? In the newer illustration rares, the new rarities, all that stuff. The old Gen 1 got its nice brand, basically remade, basically, in the modern image. And you can see, too, the price is just going to hold. And I think single cards, like the Charizards, the Blastoise, anything with Gen 1 in it, is just also going to hold value in the next 20, 25 years. I think this is a great investment. If there's one piece of advice I can give you, Pokemon 151 is going to be the best investment when it comes to Pokemon cards. Comment down below if you guys agree or disagree with me on that, and if so, why? So I'm not going to spend too much on the sealed, because I think it's all good. Buy all of it, get it sealed, Let's take a look at near mint Charizards, for example, right? So we'll go back as far as a year. You can see Charizard has never dipped below $100. Pretty simple, right? He's held true to his value, and I believe that will stay the course the whole way through. I also think, too, January of next year, too, I believe there's a new Team Rocket set coming out. So they are making older sets more modern, which is what Pokemon needs to do, honestly. I'm surprised it took them this long to do it, but hey, better late than never. Let's take a look at Blastoise. Blastoise, $60. Held his value through and through. $40 to $60 is where he's always held his value. Never dipped below the $40 mark. So his value has held true. And that's a good sign too. There does seem to be one guy who did get it below $40, so hey, good for that person. So his value holding true. Venusaur. Venusaur. Held his value through and through. Never dipped below 30 bucks. Held his value, $30 to $40. Lightly played. Let's see what near mint direct from TCG will get you. $54.95 directly from TCG near mint. They guarantee it. So there you go. 151, and I would get, by the way, too, like I said, one piece of advice. I would buy these cards. I would buy a bunch of Blastoise. I'd buy a bunch of Venusaurs, Zapdos, Alakazams, all of it. Let's look at the other illustration rares, the more like lesser known illustration rares. Yeah, Charmander, Squirtle. I would buy all of these and I would literally have like 2 or 3 sets of all of these graded PSA 9s or 10s. You can do that, store it away in your basement or in your attic somewhere. Promise you you'll come back in 20 years, this will all be worth tens of thousands of dollars. I pretty much will guarantee that. I put as much money as I can on that one. Let's take a look at a card like a Pikachu. Another fan favorite of Pokemon. Let's see how he's held over time. Again, $18, $20. So you guys can see for yourselves right here. Again, I'm showing you the information directly on TCG Player. This set, I think, is going to be a good investment. Crazy thing about this set is, since the day it's dropped, it's the day it's held its value. It has not done what like other sets in the illustration rares have. They've gone up pretty much by like 20%, it seems like. This set seems to just held its value. Whatever it was when it came out is pretty much where it's at today, which is all a great sign. And you can see a lot of great, I mean, these cards are beautiful cards. Dragonair, Mew, Ninetales, even the Ninetales EX, these are all excellent cards. The illustration rare, in my opinion, is some of the best rarity Pokemon has to offer. And I do wish they would lean more into that. I wish they would get rid of all of these like EX and just do straight up all. If they want to do EX illustration rares, I'd be okay with that too. Like, I wish they would just actually lean into that. Or I do wish Pokemon, as far as the game is concerned, would go back to the old way of the game was being played. You know, actually evolving with your Pokemon, making a bench, playing the long game. Instead, now we just play with the EXs and stuff like that. And that's how the game is played. There's no more like actually solidifying your bench and playing with a lot of the cards and evolving your cards. I do miss the old school way of playing Pokemon. You know, I remember playing that on my Game Boy. You know, I do miss it. I hope that maybe they can get back to that a little bit at some point, or even make a new format that would actually go backwards and take you back to playing the old school way of Pokemon. And I would much appreciate that. I don't know how other people would feel. Maybe I'm just the old man, you know, get off my lawn guy. That could be me. I don't know. I'm perfectly okay with that. So let's look at another set, Paradox Rift. That was 151. Here's Paradox Rift. Booster boxes sealed about 97 to what, 100 and something dollars? Yeah, $99. Okay, so we're at that $100 mark. Here though are some pretty good cards to actually collect. Groudon, another legendary Pokemon. You guys can see how well he's held up over time. Again, he's seen a pretty significant jump, $20, $30, now all the way up to $50, $60. That's a crazy jump. So, you know, these illustration rares really are dramatically increasing. Here's one that did decrease over time. So, Pokemon booster boxes at $100, the two most expensive cards you can buy for $100 and just be good with it. Here's more illustration rares. Altaria. Let's take a look to see if that one also experienced a jump. It sure did. It was around $20 now, up to the $40, $30 mark. So, again, illustration rares, is it justifiable to buy sealed booster boxes? Again, I'm not seeing enough, in my opinion, of a jump to say yes. But, again, this is where the graded market would have to come in. Maybe the graded market is speaking differently. Maybe these cards are jumping up because the graded market is screaming, yes, you have to buy these cards right now. The graded market, again, this card might be $20. If it was a PSA 10, it might be $100. I mean, that's $80 more than what the card is actually worth. I mean, you spend about, what, $15, $20 to get a card graded, unless you have, like, a membership or something like that, which you send bulk cards in. Again, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So, now we're going to go into a little more of the modern sets, the last couple of sets that have came out. Temporal Forces. When this set first dropped, really wasn't that much hype around it. You guys can see, actually, we don't have to go back that far. We can go 6 months back. So, again, here's another one that is experiencing a slight jump, but not enough. And again, this is what I'm talking about. Like, these cards, they look so ugly to me. I'm just not a fan of any of this. Let's take a look at, you go, Morty's Conviction with the Gengar in it. That's a more modern looking card. So this one didn't really experience much of a jump in the illustration rare department like all the other cards. I'm trying to look for more, like, here you go, Ghastly. I'm looking for more of like Gen 1, Gen 2. In my opinion, that's where the money is. So you guys can see, here we go, lightly played. It was around $10 to $18, $15, and it slowly creeped up into the $25 to $30 mark. And seeing that makes sense. Maybe there's a jump in this, the Gen 1 Pokemon because of what's coming out next year. That could also be it. And then we'll take a look at the most recent set, Twilight Masquerade, $123 for a booster box. However, this is pretty. This is a good sign right here, actually, guys. We have a couple of cards that are definitely worth the price of admission to buy a booster box and maybe get lucky. $210, 103, 74, 45. I bet you that Eevee's a little bit more than that, right? That's damaged. Yep, let's see what near mint goes. $51. Okay, this is a little bit better. That's a little bit better. I still think booster boxes were a little more expensive. If we were seeing this jump and booster box prices didn't go up, you know, maybe I'd be a little more warming to the idea. And of course, the newest set, we'll just take one quick look at it because I'm pretty sure it's all pre-sale, which it is. Let's see, we have a booster box pricing going on right now. I see ETBs. Maybe this is not a booster box set. Maybe this is just an ETB and tins and stuff like that. So that's going to do it for this video, where I kind of line up right now with whether or not now's a good time to buy, sell, or hold Pokemon cards. Given the most recent set and previous sets before that, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I would say just hold, actually. Like, I'm actually going to give it a hold. And here's what we're going to do. With me giving a hold, we're going to wait a minimum of 2 months. And we're going to see what comes out. We're going to see what happens with pricing as more sets come out in the next month or two. Especially with Shrouded Fable. After 2 months, we will revisit Pokemon and we will see whether, and I will give a definitive answer whether or not now's a good time to buy, sell, or hold. If I had to actually tell you where I would lean up buying or selling, I would lean slightly more to the buy area, but I mean like very slightly. Like, I mean like this much slightly more on the buy, and specifically talking about the singles and definitely 151. Again, if there's one piece of advice, buy as much of 151 as you can. Maybe skip all these other sets. I would just focus on 151 if it was me. Right now, though, I would just say hold and let's see what happens in a couple of months, because these fads with Pokemon too, sometimes they're short-lived and we go right back to the current market. You know, prices will drop down by another 30-40%, but booster boxes will stay, and at that point you just buy singles and skip on the booster boxes, or card prices will dip, not dramatically, but booster boxes will still either stay where they're at, pretty expensive, or they'll go up again, which is also just sometimes that happens and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. But right now, I would just say hold. Let's see what happens in a couple of months. We'll revisit, and we'll see whether or not the market has changed and whether or not I would lean more to buying or selling. Again, one piece of advice, buy 151. Cannot make that recommendation enough. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, please hit that like button. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button and comment down below if you agree, disagree with any of this type of stuff. What would be your recommendation if you were telling somebody buy, sell, or hold? Because that's pretty much what these videos are supposed to do, to try to give you guys as much knowledge. We go through as many sets as we can here. We go through the pricing. We look at the pricing index, and I kind of at least sit you and look at you right in the camera and say, my best opinion would be, you know, buying, selling, or holding. An argument can be made for all three of them, of course. Right now, let's hold. At least that'd be my advice. Hold. See what happens in the next couple of sets, but if you really are just someone who likes to buy a lot of Pokemon cards, hey man, 151. Can't recommend it enough. Let me know what you guys think. That's going to do it. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next time.